Salvage operations continued today and yesterday. Last night there was a period of time when pumping was stopped. Pumping was stopped so that they could replace the pump that they were currently using with a new one, which is a different type of pump. They also took that opportunity to increase the diameter of the hose that was connected to that pump from the 3-inch to a 6-inch hose. And you can see from some of these photographs, the 3 inches is about the size of that hose with those floats coming on down into it. The pumping still continues going through to the Awanui, and we've got a diagram a little bit later which will show that pumping array. And we'll come back to this one after. So this is the manhole cover that they have to go through to get the pumps down there. So the new pumping array, the new pump itself is 100 kilos. To get this into position, they have to go through a series of baffles within the tank. And each baffle hole is in a different position. So they'll lower the hose down, they'll stand on a grating plate, and then they'll have to move it along inside this tank and lower it down another plate. But they have to get through that tank. And John will be annoyed, but John couldn't get through it. It's a very tight little space. And you'll see that this is the corridor that they're working in. That's when it was this was early on, when it had the ship's power, it had no oil or water inside of it, and then we go again, that's what it's like now. So these guys are wrestling these incredibly heavy, large hoses around inside these tanks and around the vessel. So yesterday afternoon they had to stop all the work, get all of the people on board the vessel, all the solvers, to start carrying these hoses around to get this new pumping array in. Then they had to put some person into this tank to lug this 100 kilo pump around with all this large 6-inch hosing array down so that they could lower it into as low as they could get into the tank. But they can't find the next hole in this grating until they've actually pumped down, and then they have to get back down into this thing, move the hose along again, so it ends up snaking through this fuel tank to be able to get all the fuel out. And before they do it, they have to vent these tanks, and we've talked about that in previous occasions where they vent the tank to make sure it's a safe area to work in. They still need to be in breathing apparatus and the like to make sure that it's safe for them to operate. So it's greasy, it's dark, it smells, you've smelt the HFO, and it's tough, heavy work. And once again, this is in the the port corridor, and you can see them working there. It's got the list, dark, smelly, and they're trying to wrestle these great big hoses around. So if we go, okay, this is as good a time as any to talk about the pumping array. So what they've got is this large 6-inch, I've been told to point for you. So in that first part is where they have the 6-inch hose. Then they break that hose into 2 3-inch hoses, and each one goes to its own booster pump. So you've got then 2 booster pumps into the system, and then those booster pumps go out, join up again, and then they go out of that into the Awanui. So what this is about is actually trying to speed the system up. You don't want to destroy one system, you want to keep it pumping as long as possible, and that's why they've gone to this quite different pumping array. And remembering that this pump works on hydraulic, so they need hydraulic power packs and all the rest of it to actually make the thing work. That's just another view of it. So if we go back now to the one that shows the volumes. So originally you'll recall that the budget, if you like, the fuel budget from before this came over to the port list, started list, was 772 in the port number 5. We've now managed to remove, or the solvers have now managed to remove, as at 3 o'clock this afternoon, 481 tonnes. So they've got quite a bit. It's important to remember that there are going to be problems with the removal of the fuel. All we need to do is drop a generator out, or drop a power pack out, or one of those, all they have to do is drop those out, and they've got to start the system again and bring more in. So one of the key tasks that they had for today is about improving the safety systems on there, increasing the lighting so that they can see if any of these highly pressured hoses are breaking, where to go for it and how to fix it. So it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So the focus for today has been on, for this salvage team, has been to improve the pumping system. They have a pumping technician from the pump manufacturer on site who's actually giving them highly technical advice about increasing that system. Then they're going to focus on the settling tanks. We were inside the engine room yesterday and you could see that the pump units that are attached to those settling tanks are in good condition. Now they've flown on additional generators and they're putting in cabling from those generators into those pumps that sit with the settling tanks, and then they will use those pumps to be able to either take the fuel into port number 5 or out into another vessel. They'll make that decision a little bit later once they work out which is going to be the best system. Keep using the one that they've got, or to take a separate hose straight over into another vessel. Meanwhile, our dive team has been working hard on starboard number 5. This has been confirmed as being not breached, so it is in good condition, and that's an important and good piece of news. So that has about 358 tonnes of oil in it. The dive team are diving in this little wee dark corridor. You saw the corridor picture. Okay, we'll go back to that corridor. Yep, that. Think of it dark, full of water up to just below that light, and then it's got a film of heavy fuel oil on top. It's dark, no lights, so they're actually diving in there and checking things out as they go. And there's also surge coming through from where the vessel's been broken. And so it's a really tough part of diving. So they've got skimmers in there trying to get rid of that oil to make it a better dive site for them. And they've also they've got a special cofferdam, a special barrier that they've built, which will fit in one of those frames there. And then what they'll do is they'll pump that out, and so they've got a clear working space. But that's going to be a working space which is going to be covered in slippery oil before they can open that hatch cover again and then start working in starboard number 5.